At this year's NAB, Panasonic announced the DVX200, which really surprised me. I never thought I'd hear DVX ever again. I'm very familiar with the original DVX100. It's one of the first cameras I ever shot with, and it was a great camera, offered 24 frames a second when that was very uncommon in the DV world, had a nice fixed lens, even had a cool internal kind of anamorphic mode for 16:9. But I never thought I would ever see a DVX200, but Panasonic did it. They went and did it. And essentially what this camera is, it's a 4K camera, like pretty much everything else nowadays, but it's got a larger 4/3 inch sensor, so similar to what's in like a GH4 or other micro 4/3 camera. It's a 4/3 inch sensor, and it does 4K up to 60 frames a second. It's got V-Log L, so you're looking at 12 stops of dynamic range. The unfortunate part, or maybe it's not unfortunate, maybe some people like it, but it's got a fixed lens, and they say it's a 13x zoom, which is very similar to the original DVX100, which also had a fixed lens. Now they're saying this is a 2.8 lens, which, that's relatively fast, and I imagine it's actually a pretty good lens, all things considered, if Panasonic sticks with their track record for their lenses, their fixed lenses on cameras. But there's no official price yet. They're saying it's going to be below 5,000, so probably right at 5,000, like 4,995 or something like that, which seems like a fair price point for this camera. I imagine it'll be pretty popular, especially with documentary, news, even live event type stuff. It'll probably be pretty popular, but I don't know if personally, I'm not probably too interested in it just because of the fixed lens and kind of the camcorder styling of it, the design of it. But it looks cool. I wish there was maybe like an AF200 or something like that where you could swap lenses just to have a little bit more flexibility and variety. But one thing I do like about the DVX200 is that it records to SD cards. So you have that cheap media, so you're not worried about buying I had an HVX200, and that thing recorded to P2 cards, and they were not cheap. Even for like the smallest ones, you were looking at, $500, $600 per card, and that was like for 4 gigs. It was ridiculous. But I'm glad to see that they went with SD cards for the DVX200. I honestly wish more professional cameras went with just the cheap media, like SSDs or SD cards. I'm really sick of proprietary media formats that you end up paying an arm and a leg for just because they're not a widely standardized format. Sony does that all the time. They use these proprietary cards, and it just kind of gets in the way because you want to buy the camera, but then you're looking at all the additional costs for the media. So good job, Panasonic, for the SD cards. But overall, I don't know if I'm super interested in the camera. Like I said, the fixed lens is kind of a turnoff, but I imagine it'll be very popular if everything on paper ends up playing out in reality.